A very good evening. This is Eswatini TV News Bulletin at 8, read to you by myself, Notile Sitole. First up, here's a look at tonight's headlines. His Majesty King Eswatini III has congratulated Musa Faki Mahamat for his re-election to the African Union Commission. The Minister for Education has announced the commencement of radio lessons for selected classes. WHO team investigating the origin of COVID-19 disputes allegation that the virus was leaked from a certain lab in Wuhan. And now, the news in detail. On behalf of His Majesty King Eswatini III, Her Majesty the Queen Mother, the government and the people of the Kingdom of Eswatini, the acting Prime Minister has congratulated His Excellency Musa Faki Mahamat on his re-election as chairperson of the African Union Commission.
Acting Prime Minister Themba Masuku, on behalf of His Majesty King Eswatini III and Ingwenyama of the Kingdom of Eswatini, Her Majesty the Queen Mother and Indlovukazi, the government and people of the Kingdom of Eswatini express their congratulations to His Excellency Musa Faki Mahamat on his re-election as chairperson of the African Union Commission. The acting Prime Minister says Eswatini wishes to commend the solid leadership shown in steering the Commission through the past years. The acting Prime Minister says he believes that the new term presents new opportunities of success to take Africa into greater heights. On another note, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation notifies the public that the prescribed processing period for study permits required for a Mswati wishing to study in the Republic of South Africa is 8 weeks from the date of submission. The public is further informed that due to COVID-19 restrictions, the South African High Commission to Eswatini has altered its working hours as follows: Monday, Wednesday and Friday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. until further notice. The statement has been issued by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Thuli Sile Dladla. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, Zodwa Dlamini in Babane.
The Minister of Education, Lady Howard, says pre-recorded radio lessons have resumed due to the pandemic. The minister says lessons commenced on Monday, and these are for grades 5, 6, 7, Form 2, Form 3, and Form 5.
In the face of the second wave of the pandemic and government's declaration of a 30-day partial lockdown, the Ministry of Education has regrouped and thought of alternative ways of delivering on their mandate. The ministry has embarked on a curriculum review and adjustment to make up for loss of teaching and learning time, and as an interim measure, therefore lessons have resumed on EPIS 1 and EPIS 2. The minister says the ministry is grateful for the financial support from UNICEF for this project, media houses that have partnered with the ministry to ensure that teaching and learning carries on even in the face of the pandemic.
The ministry further wishes to inform all head teachers and parents that no learner should be made to repeat a class from the previous year. Classes being taught through the media lessons are for EPC, grade 5, 6 and 7. For JC, Form 2 and Form 3. And for EGCSE, Form 5. Since this is the only platform for teaching and learning for now, the ministry urges and encourages pupils to listen to the radio lessons and read newspapers consistently and diligently. We also appeal to parents and guardians to ensure that learners listen to the lessons as well as support them with all materials that they need. Learners should also listen to get the timetable for these lessons.
The minister says lessons will resume as well on TV once all processes are complete. She appeals to head teachers and school committees to collaborate with parents to ensure that learners receive textbooks as per their laid down procedures. Reporting, I'm Lungilele Makakula with Musim Konda in Babane.
The Minister of Health, Lizinkosi, says the country will not accept the COVID-19 vaccine called AstraZeneca. This follows reports that AstraZeneca might not be effective against the new strain, which is spreading globally.
On Monday, South Africa stopped administering health workers with AstraZeneca vaccine after reports that it is not effective on COVID-19 new strain, which is also found in that country. Eswatini Minister of Health Lizinkosi says it is more likely that the country has the South African variant due to its proximity to South Africa. Kosi says Eswatini will ask COVAX to assist the country in buying a different vaccine for COVID-19.
We're in discussion with COVAX, who were sending us, were going to send us this vaccine by the end of the month. We'll look at what else they were going to send us. They were going to send us a mixture of vaccines. Before, we did not have a possibility of managing the Pfizer vaccine because it required a -80 freezing or -80 cold chain. We now have a freezer in the country, thanks to Cash Foundation. We now have a freezer in the country that can manage those levels. So we are going back to discussion with COVAX to see where else we can go and to be sure that that particular vaccine will help us against this new variant.
Minister Nkosi says the change in the vaccine that was supposed to be received by the country may delay the vaccine rollout in the country. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla, Babane.
St. Mark's High School Principal Zanele Zwane says they were able to be the best performing school in the 2020 EGCSE examination because of government's decision to have a limited number of learners per class. She says this benefited the learners as it enhanced their learning and they were more focused.
The Ministry of Education opened schools on the 6th of July 2020 so that completing classes could return to school for face-to-face teaching and learning under strict COVID-19 regulations. This effort was made to ensure that external examination classes did not lose in terms of syllabus coverage and were well prepared for the external examination. On Monday, the Minister of Education released Form 5 results, which revealed that despite the pandemic, the pass rate has increased by 0.28% compared to 2019, and that St. Mark's High School was the outstanding school of 2020. St. Mark's High School Principal Zanele Zwane says they managed to achieve the #1 school position because of the limited number of learners in class.
I think our winning card was the class sizes. We normally have large class sizes because of pressure for places from parents. So this time around, because of COVID, we had to break our classes into 2 groups. So instead of having, for instance, 40 students in one class, we had 20 in one class. So then the load was easier, for teachers to mark quickly and give feedback quickly and give more work.
Eswatini Principals Association Welcome Mhlanga has commended the Ministry of Education for resuming lessons and ensuring that learners are safe.
We also want to appreciate the Exams Council for the materials provided to the learners to assist them as they were learning and also to prepare for their final exams.
He also commends teachers and principals as well as parents who also played a role in the passing of their children. Reporting in Mlungilele Makakula in Babane.
The acting Lubombo Regional Education Officer Richard Lamini says they are very happy and grateful to teachers and students in the region for working hard regardless of the COVID-19 effects. Lamini says the teamwork displayed by both teachers and learners is what propelled the region to do well in the Form 5 results that were released on Monday.
The Lubombo region was the second best performing region in the recently released Form 5 results. The 2020 Form 5 results were released by the Minister for Education on Monday. The acting Lubombo Regional Education Administrator Richard Lamini expressed his gratitude to all teachers and pupils in the region for working hard regardless of the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic.
The region is a drought-stricken area, but nabantwana baperforma khona lapho kulezo simolo siyabonga kakhulu bothishela sibulala emabhodlela kakhulu.
One of the school principals that we talked to, Mxolisi Mieni from Spofaneni High School, says as much as the region did well, but it is worth noting that it is not all pupils who are able to access the lessons through media houses.
babuka letinhlelo tangale bancane even labana labo sigujana lokhanze sibabuka le TV yakithi yesiswati.
Miani continued to say that the reopening of schools after they were closed due to COVID-19 did help teachers to cover much of their syllabus. Reporting for Eswatini TV News is Tembeli Tlemakuchwa with Temba Shabangu, Lubombo.
A group of concerned pastors from various churches in the country have presented their petition to the National Disaster Management Agency offices, appealing to the government to reopen churches. The document was presented by Reverend Luke Mnisi on behalf of the pastors in Babane.
Following the government's decision of strengthening the COVID-19 regulations after realizing the increase in the number of deaths and COVID-19 positive cases countrywide, the government resorted to suspend gatherings of any kind, including church gatherings. A group of concerned pastors from various churches in the country then decided to deliver a petition to the National Disaster Management Agency offices urging the government to open churches but ensuring that the COVID-19 regulations are adhered to.
Ukuvalwa kwelisonto livalwe nje ngci seyinemthelela lomatima eveni nala kulabazalwane.
Delivering the document, Reverend Luke Mnisi says pastors are very much aware of the dire situation faced by the country caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, but this situation can be dealt with through prayer.
Baphile moyeni.
Besisebenda nalesigejana hulumende lasakhile sebafundisi lesiqhamuka kuwe emabandla lamathathu.
National Disaster Management Agency's Chief Executive Officer Russell Dlamini, when receiving the document, says the government, together with other stakeholders, are already working on the issue. Dlamini further revealed that he will deliver the document to the relevant authorities. For Eswatini TV News, Zoto Dlamini with Mbonga Dube, Babane.
Limpopo University of Creative Technology has issued certificates to over 600 graduates. According to the institution's director, Tobile Gumede, the issuance of certificates will be followed by a virtual graduation.
The issuance of the certificates to the graduates started on Monday, and it is expected to last the whole week. As means to comply with COVID-19 regulations, 20 students are given certificates in a space of 2 hours, and they also wear their gowns. Limpopo University of Creative Technology, Tobile Gumede, says the cohort was supposed to graduate last year. However, due to COVID-19, the ceremony was delayed. She assured the industry that the students are of good quality.
They were only affected in terms of their practical internship, and also the group that does in-house projects and are monitored by the university. They were only affected in that area. And we don't as a university, we don't expect that our students have been adversely affected because our programs engages them with industry from the very first day they start studying at the university.
Students who received the certificates expresses their happiness, adding that they will now be able to search for employment.
I wish my colleagues the best as we come out of this pause to look for jobs. Hopefully we'd get employment with this pandemic.
And I'm so joyful for this day. Since last year I was so waiting to see this day. I am very, very joyful.
LUCT director says the institution found it befitting to give the students their certificates so they could begin their new lives since they have finished their studies. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla with Muslim Konta Stwashini.
As Valentine's Week has started, Nurture has encouraged lovers to go for HIV testing together, embrace each other, and make informed decisions on sexual activity.
Head of Communications, Pesihle Nkwanyana, says it's important that people in relationships go for HIV testing so that they make informed decisions on sexual activity. Kwanyana says another benefit of couples testing together and sharing their results is that they can support each other if one or both partners are HIV positive. She says, be that as it may, no one is obligated to test or declare their HIV status to their lovers if they are not ready. She says as Valentine's Day nears, Nurture has started a mini campaign to encourage couples testing, which will run for the whole week.
People living with HIV have been very instrumental in the agenda and sticking to it by the fact that they have been, able to come up front and actually tell their testimonies to other people and encourage, other Eswatini who are still afraid to go and test, to go and do the right thing by testing and getting on treatment immediately. So we would really like to appreciate, people living with HIV, for the effort that they have put towards the Ending AIDS agenda. And we hope that going forward, indeed, we'll still need them, to push this agenda. And now we also want, to encourage Eswatini to embrace people living with HIV and not stigmatize them because they are very instrumental in the fight against AIDS.
Kwanyana encourages members of the public to be part of this campaign, get tested and start treatment if they are HIV positive. At the launch of the World AIDS Day last year, the Minister of Health said a study conducted in the country revealed that young women and girls between the ages of 15 to 24 are at high risk of being infected with HIV. And as it stands, the infection rate is at 27%. Meanwhile, UNAIDS report on HIV states that 1.7 million people were infected in 2019 and approximately 700,000 died. Reporting, I'm Lungilele Makakula in Babane.
In an effort to control traffic congestion at Eswatini area in Matapa police have decided to come with a way of controlling the traffic congestion so that motorists will not be delayed. This was announced by Eswatini Police Station Commander Superintendent Patrick Gininza during an interview with Eswatini TV in Matapa.
After realizing the traffic influx between Mashaitafula and Lunganye Public Road in Matapa, which can cause road accidents, Eswatini Police Station have resorted to control the traffic between 4:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. Eswatini Police Station Commander Superintendent Patrick Gininza says Matapa is an industrial area, therefore there is a great need for pedestrians using that road as well as motorists to be protected from unwanted road accidents.
Swanga 4:30 sivale la malayini laphumalanga aMashaitafula nje labheka kaNdlunganye siwende abe one way because imoto tikhuphuke tibe timbili at the same time toshona kaNdlunganye. Bese sathi khipha ke letingena kuMatsapa tivete endlule etulu tiyojika phansi eShekli tingene ngekhathi kuMatsapa ngalapha tiphume kuphela.
Matsapa Town Council's Public Relations Officer Babegile Dlamini says the council is already working on the issue provided that they secure funding.
We've looked into expanding or increasing the number of exit routes in Matsapa. So some of the possible routes that we've looked into is an exit route. Firstly, it's an interchange route from Gasipo behind CTM and into MR3, which is the highway. We do have designs available for this project, but unfortunately there are some limitations, fund limitations or fund issues, which is why the project hasn't taken off. There's also another one from King Mswati III, which will lead traffic out to Technology Park or Summerfields. Again, this is another option that has been explored.
Dlamini further urged motorists to be patient until the council has taken positive measurable steps to resolve the traffic congestion in Matsapa. For Eswatini TV News, Zoto Dlamini with Mbonga Dube, Matsapa.
Police continue to arrest drunk drivers despite the ongoing alcohol ban in the country. Deputy Police spokesperson Nosipho Mnguni says last weekend 26 drivers were arrested for drunk driving.
Of motorists who drive under the influence of alcohol have shocked the police as alcohol ban remains effective in the country. On January 28th, the acting Prime Minister Themba Masuku announced the ban on alcohol sale, including the sale of marula. Police acting spokesperson Nosipho Mnguni says police will crack down all individuals who sell alcohol illegally.
It is very worrying to us as an organization to note such because
as we all know, government has closed the selling of alcohol or the brewing of such. So it is really worrying as to where these people get to buy these alcoholic drinks, or maybe if they are brewing them, why they are doing so, because nobody does not know that this is against the law at this particular instance. But as the police, we are assuring the nation that we will go out and intensify our patrols to ensure that we get these culprits, either those that are selling or those that are brewing, and we will ensure that they face the law.
Most countries in the world have banned alcohol sale as means to curb the spread of COVID-19. There is a belief that alcohol is one of COVID-19 super spreaders. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla with Muslim Konta Babane.
Scientists from the World Health Organization, who are investigating the origin of COVID-19 in Wuhan, have disputed claims that the virus was leaked from a Wuhan lab. Instead, they are saying it is likely that it started from animals.
根据目前的资料，我们还无法确定
It is not possible on the basis of the current epidemiological information to determine how the SARS-CoV-2 was introduced into the Huanan market. Substantial transmission of SARS-CoV-2 infection occurred among the population of Wuhan in December 2019.
那么鉴于部分的早期病例与华南海鲜市场有关。
While some of the early cases had an association with the Huanan seafood market, others were associated with other markets, and other cases have no market association at all.
A very good evening once again. You're still watching Eswatini TV. Now we'll have a look at our sports news. The Eswatini Tennis Association President Maxwell Jayler says the inclusion of Hayden Loeffler to the International Tennis Federation ranking is the result of the work they have been putting in with developing players.
The Eswatini Tennis Association made it clear when they took office that they want to pay more attention to the development of the sport, starting with young players in the sport. This was followed by many junior tournaments that were played almost every month. This is now starting to bring in the desired results, as one of the youngsters, Hayden Loeffler, has been included in the International Tennis Federation rankings, where he's ranked 1,500 in the under-18 category. Maxwell Jayler, who's the president of the association, congratulated Hayden and says this is the results of the project they started some years ago.
We started a program as the Tennis Association some 3-4 years ago, where we started working with some very young upcoming talent, where we set an overall objective that over the next 4 to 5 years we want to already have some of our players ranked within the ITF. Nasiliqala leli hlelo lethu 4 years ago sayenta i-talent identification la khona sabuketa abadlali abakhona nalabanye labamaswati lesikholelwako lokuthi nanabo batugcina bafikile kulelo zinga. Sikhuluma nje nyalo ukhona nathanda ubhembe locisha ukulelo lizinga la Hayden sibe nebhadi ke ngalitindzabadabo bo COVID ngalokuthi kuze ungene kule ranking international kufuthi vele ema tournaments owadlale ikakhulu lawo la ngephandle kwale live.
Jayler says there are other youngsters who are coming up who will soon follow Hayden, but they have been greatly affected by the coronavirus outbreak, which has delayed their progress. Reporting for Eswatini TV Sports News, I'm Babane.
And just before I head out, here's our COVID-19 report from the Ministry of Health. The country has recorded 3 COVID-19 fatalities in the last 24 hours, bringing the number of confirmed COVID-19 fatalities to 610. Today, 54 people tested positive for COVID-19. And just before we wrap up, let's have a look at tonight's headlines. His Majesty King Mswati III has congratulated Musa Faki Mahamat for his re-election to the African Union Commission. The Minister for Education has announced the commencement of radio lessons for selected classes. WHO team investigating the origin of COVID-19 disputes allegation that the virus was leaked from a certain lab in Wuhan. That brings us to the end of our bulletin for the evening. Up next is the weather update from myself and the crew here at Eswatini TV. Thank you for watching. Good night.